As always, everything we discuss is for entertainment and is speculation. Please like and subscribe, and definitely join our discussion in the comments. If you're ready, let's get into it. Welcome back to Typically Unique. Today I am reading the Moscow police report documents numbers 71 to 80. And in this set of documents, you can expect to hear about the blood that was found at Jack Showalter's apartment, the maintenance person that went into that apartment and why. There's also documents about Kaylee receiving a package and a Facebook Messenger message, and the individuals that were involved in the campsite altercation and fight that had happened, and those same people showing up at the Mad Greek. So we're going to start with document number 71, and this is Tyson Barrett. On December 12th, 2022, ISP Detective Lake asked me to request information from U of I OCRI regarding a rape involving U of I students that was reported in 2021. I emailed the request to KN with U of I Office of General Counsel. On December 13th, I received a form. From LE at U of I OCRI, maybe a response, indicating she had the information I requested. I met with E in her office at about 12:15 hours and provided her with a USB flash memory drive. The information to the drive and gave it to me. I don't even know how to make sense of that sentence. Maybe E downloaded the information to the drive and gave it to me. That would make sense. On December 13th, at about 12:30 hours, I returned to the police department and gave the flash memory drive to MT with the FBI. This is number 72, Brett Payne. And this is related to evidence. On December 2nd, the FBI tip line. Oh, it's an interview with BJ. On December 2nd, the FBI tip line received a call from K-Bar employee MD, reference ALM. M had been contacted earlier on December 1st by ISP Detective Boone and Barrett due to his name being provided by K-Bar on a list of people who had placed orders from K-Bar. D stated a call taker, BJ, from K-Bar received a strange phone call from M on December 1st, 2022. J provided a written statement about what the conversation entailed. J stated she answered the call with the normal greetings directed by K-Bar. M interjected when she asked about his concerns about the call and stated, "We will get to that later." J went on to tell M why the order was canceled. M stated he understood and never put his phone number on orders to prevent phone solicitation. M then abruptly asked, "What can you tell me about the two feds that showed up at my door today questioning my recent K-Bar order?" J stated she did not know what M was talking about as she had no knowledge of the investigation. M then stated something to the effect of, a K-Bar sheath was left at the scene. J stated she did not know anything about the situation and asked M if he wanted to complete his order. M stated he was a collector and had enough for now. He also added he better hold off until things died down a little. M then ended the phone call. I spoke with Detectives Boone and Barrett on December 2nd and asked them if they mentioned the knife sheath. Both detectives stated they did not mention anything about the sheath and that the conversation with M was very routine. They did not record their conversation. I called Jay back on December 13th and asked her to tell me about the call with M. Jay reiterated the contents of her statement. However, she stated M told her a K-Bar sheath was left at the scene. and added M told her one of the investigators told her that. Investigation into M continues. And this was reviewed by Corporal Corbin Smith. This is number 73, Brett Payne, and there are 4 blood swab samples. On November 23rd, 2022, I applied for and was granted a search warrant for blank Queen Road, blank, the residence of Jack Showalter. The warrant was based off the following information. OFC House and I responded to blank Queen Road at approximately 1,000 hours on November 15th. We walked on the common walkway in front of the door to Showalter's apartment and observed the exterior of the door. The area around the door had numerous spots of a dried fluid which appeared to be rust drops from a metal roof from the apartment's door. These drops were mainly on the wall next to the door frame, but not on the frame itself. I observed what appeared to be a different fluid spot on the door, approximately 8 inches up from the bottom of the door under the knob. I also noticed the deadbolt plating was clean, polished silver, and had no dirt on it. I walked away from the door in order to conduct an interview and a possible witness. Officer House and several members of the ISP forensics unit, to include Detective Hugh Powell, walked back to blank Queen Road blank. I met back up with Officer House and Detective Powell a short time later, and they told me they believed the spot of dried fluid on the door displayed similar characteristics to that of dried blood. Namely, Detective Powell stated the spot displayed a cracking texture common when blood dries on a surface. The spot also displayed a similar drop pattern to the blood spots found on the banister wall and the wall on the stairwell to the ground floor, which I observed inside 1122 King Road. Officer House also told me he looked at several other doorknobs and deadbolt places on doors in the same apartment complex, all of which had a fine layer of dust. Officer House also confirmed Showalter's door did not have the same layer of dust as though it had been cleaned off. I returned to MPD and was notified by Detective Vargas, who was reviewing security camera footage provided by the owners of blank Linda Lane, of possible footage of someone walking by the cameras at 3:50 hours on November 13th, 2022. I watched the film with Detective Vargas. The cameras show the parking lot of blank Linda Lane, which is situated directly south of blank Queen Road. They keep putting a blank after Queen Road. The frame captures a portion of the blank Queen Road parking lot in front of blank, but does not capture the apartments themselves. The area of blank Queen Road blank is also much darker than blank Linda Lane. The video is infrared and is thusly displayed in black and white. At approximately 3:50 hours on November 13th, 2022, per the timestamp on the video, a figure clad in dark clothing can be seen walking from the building which houses blank Queen Road. The figure walks to the west of the parking lot and leaves the frame of the video as the figure enters the sidewalk area between the 2 other apartment buildings at blank Queen Road. The terminus of this sidewalk is immediately east of 1122 King Road. The figure is not captured by the cameras any further. Based off the information above, MPD and ISP officers served a search warrant on the exterior of the front door to blank Queen Road blank. Access to the residence per this search warrant was granted only if a presumptive positive test for blood was found on the exterior door. Nothing was found during this search and the warrant was returned. Okay, that must be an apartment number after blank Queen Road apartment, whatever. On November 23rd, 22, MPD Officer Morris was contacted by JS, a maintenance worker for blank, which manages blank Queen Road Apartments. S told Officer Morris he conducted a routine maintenance order on blank Queen Road apartment, whatever, on November 22nd, 2022, wherein he discovered something of note. I had Officer Morris call S and place him on speakerphone so I could talk to him. I asked S to tell me what he found. S told me he and another maintenance worker entered the apartment on November 22nd, 22, in order to check on a water quality complaint made by the tenant. Both men checked the kitchen and did not notice any issues. S said he entered the only bathroom in the residence and began to inspect the drain when the other maintenance worker advised there appeared to be blood on the shower curtain. S said he looked and discovered what appeared to be two separate smudge marks on the shower curtain, which appeared to be dried blood. S described the smudges as 1 inch by 1 inch. S said he then noticed another smudge of what appeared to be dried blood on the toilet flusher handle. S added there appeared to be spatter of dried blood near the light switch on the interior wall of the bathroom. I asked S to describe the marks. He told me they appeared to be reddish brown in color. S added, I've seen dried blood before, and the marks appeared to be similar to that. S added the only thing he did in the restroom was flush the toilet in order to check the water quality. S said the toilet appeared clean, but became clogged when he flushed it. S noted it was odd the toilet became clogged. S said he and his counterpart then left the apartment. I asked S if anyone else had reason or means to access the apartment beside he or Showalter between the time he left and the current time. S said no. I served the search warrant with ISP investigators Jeff Talbot, Hugh Powell, and Jake Schwecke. We discovered the blood smears and spots in the locations S described. In addition, there were more blood spatter spots on the wall on the entryway into the living room. Samples of each were collected, 94 in total, and ISP Detective Talbot took photos of the residence. Upon completion, I left the required paperwork on the couch in the living room, and Detective Talbot took a photo of it. All units cleared without further incidents. The search warrant was returned on December 4th, and that was reviewed by Corporal Corbin Smith. And I just want to make note that I believe we later learned that the 94 in total might have been a misprint. I think the 9 is a different number, but I cannot recall right now off the top of my head. I will, if I find it, I'll make a note of it at the end of the video. This is number 74, Brett Payne. On November 15th, 22, I applied for and was granted a search warrant for blank Queen Road, blank, based off the following information as previous investigation. Based off this information, Officer House and I responded to blank Queen Road at approximately 1,000 hours on November 15th, 22. We walked on the common walkway in front of the door to Showalter's apartment and observed the exterior of the door. So this is his take on that day. The areas around the door had numerous spots of dried fluid, which appeared to be rust drops from a metal roof from the apartment's door. Let me make sure. 74. '73. It's still Brett Payne talking about the same incidents. Based off this information, Officer House and I responded to blank Queen Road at approximately 1,000 hours on November 15, 22. We walked on the common walkway in front of the door to Showalter's apartment and observed the exterior of the door. The area around the door had numerous spots of a dried fluid, which appeared to be rust drops from a metal roof above the apartment's door. These drops were mainly on the wall next to the door frame, not on the frame itself. I observed what appeared to be a different fluid spot on the door, approximately 8 inches up from the bottom of the door, under the doorknob. I also noticed the deadbolt. Is this the same exact thing? Okay, report number 74 is exactly like number 73. So we will leave it at that. And it was signed off by Corporal Corbin Smith. This is number 75, Danny Vargas. Phone interview. RRJQCW on November 15th, 2022. On November 15th, 2022, I had a phone message from the front desk to contact RR blank, as she may have information regarding Kaylee Gonsalves having a stalker. RR. On November 15th, 2022, at approximately 11:15 hours, I called and spoke with R. I introduced myself to R and told her I was given her message to call about possible information regarding Kaylee having a stalker. R told me she and some friends had lunch with Kaylee around September 11th, 2022, and she thought Kaylee said something about having a stalker. R thought Kaylee mentioned receiving something in the mail, but some of the other friends at the lunch thought Kaylee mentioned getting a strange message through Facebook Messenger. R told me she had been speaking with all of the friends who were at the lunch and they were trying to remember what was said. R provided me with the names of the other friends who were at lunch with Kaylee on or around September 11th, 2022. So let me see. That's a CW. CW graduated last year, U of I. MB left the U of I last semester. SR is a student at WSU, and BD is a current U of I student. R provided me with the name JQ and told me Jay and Kaylee were very close friends and had plans to live together in June. R said Jay was not at lunch, but she thought Kaylee would have spoken with her the most. R said Kaylee spoke with J, C, and B the most. I asked R if she could think of anyone who Kaylee had any issues with, and she said no. R told me Kaylee was very kind-hearted to everyone. I asked R how the conversation came up regarding the stalker at the lunch with Kaylee. R said Kaylee would always talk about things in a lighthearted manner and said one time she was speaking about childhood trauma in a joking manner and they did not think much of it. R thought the stalker topic just got brought up at some point during the lunch conversation, but she could not remember how specifically. I thanked R for the information and told her to contact us if she remembered anything else. Okay, this is JQ. On November 15th, 2022, at approximately 14:30 hours, I called and spoke with JQ. Jay told me she and Kaylee had plans to move in together in June and said she spoke with Kaylee often. I asked Jay about the topic of Kaylee saying she had a stalker. Jay told me she remembered Kaylee mentioning something about a stalker, but could not remember any of the details. Jay said she last saw Kaylee the weekend of October 3rd, 2022, when she came for a visit to attend the U of I football game. Jay said she also visited Kaylee around the weekend of June 14th, 2022, and did not think Kaylee mentioned having a stalker on either of these weekends. Jay thought the topic was brought up sometime during the previous school year in May. I asked Jay if Kaylee shared any information with her of having problems with anyone, and she said no. Jay told me she did not know of anyone who did not like Kaylee or would have it out for her. I asked Jay if Kaylee mentioned having any potential love interests or said she was seeing anybody. Jay told me when she last saw Kaylee on the weekend of October 3rd, 2022, Kaylee said she was not seeing anyone or sleeping with anyone. I asked Jay what she knew about Jack Decor, Kaylee's ex-boyfriend. Jay told me Kaylee and Jack both loved each other and did not have any hard feelings against one another. Jay said Jack and Kaylee started dating when they were younger, and Kaylee broke up with Jack so she could grow up a bit and experience other things. Jay said at first the breakup was hard for Jack, but they remained friends. Jay said she did not know the other roommates that well who lived with Kaylee. Jay said when she visited during the weekend of October 3rd, 2022, there were a bunch of people at Kaylee's house, but no one who stood out. Jay told me she was with CW and handed the phone to C so I could speak with her. So this is CW. I told C I had spoken with R about the lunch they had with Kaylee and the topic of the stalker. C said she and her friends have all discussed the stalker topic and could not remember exactly what was said. I asked C if there was anyone Kaylee spoke to her about, and she said no. C told me she graduated from the university last year, was not in Moscow, and did not spend that much time with Kaylee. C said she did not know anyone who did not like Kaylee or had it out for her, and she did not know Kaylee's roommates. I thanked C for speaking with me. C gave the phone back to Jay, who told me I should speak with Kaylee's friend, NG. And then it's blanked out. So maybe it's something about the sorority or something like that, just speculating. And said N and Kaylee spent a lot of time together. C and J both provided me with their current addresses. That's redacted. I thanked both J and C for speaking with me and told them to contact us if they remembered anything else. My conversations with R, J, and C were all recorded and are copied to a DVD and booked into MPD evidence. This was reviewed by Dustin Blaker. This is report number 76. Lawrence Mowry. On December 13th, 2022, I was requested to complete a forensic extraction on an iPhone provided by J.A. A signed a consent to search form for the device, and it was provided to me by ISP Detective Hugh Powell. The form has been uploaded to the case file. The phone was powered on, and I placed it into airplane mode to protect any potential evidence on the phone from being removed or remotely deleted. I took photos of the device and attached them to the case file. The phone required a passcode to access the data on the device. A provided a passcode of blank. In examining the iPhone, I first looked for identifiers. This says indicia or indicative of use and ownership. The device was black in color with a black colored case. The device was running iOS 15.1 and showed a model number of MGFF3LL/A. The name of the phone was Jay's iPhone. The phone had a serial number of blank and IME number blank. It showed the user as blank with an email of something at gmail.com. The phone number assigned to the phone was blank. In continuing with my examination of the phone, I made the following changes to the phone's settings. Auto lock was turned off. These changes allow the phone and the forensic computer to communicate and share information properly. The phone was then connected to the forensic computers running the following forensic software tools: Magnet Axiom, and then there's a version number, Cellbrite UFED physical analyzer, and there's a version number. This extraction was saved to a computer located in the Secure Computer Forensic Lab at the Moscow Police Department. An examination of the data will be conducted at my earliest convenience. The phone was returned to A. And that was reviewed by Dustin Blaker. This is report number 77. On December 13th at approximately 2000 hours, I interviewed SR in blank, Idaho at the blank. R or P, I think it's a P, had called me several days earlier to report some information he had regarding the quadruple homicide. I asked P if the information he would be sharing would be dealing with one person. P told me it would. I asked P if I could get the individual's name. P told me the person's name was G, like a short name of G or a longer name of G. later identified as GM. And then it has a date of something to 2003. That's interesting. P told me he did not know the individual's last name, but believed he knew where he lived. P told me he lived in the blank apartments. P told me this apartment is just off of blank avenue, then turn onto blank lane and then right onto blank street. And the apartment is across from the blank blank. P told me G lives in the blank apartments. P began by explaining to me that he had done a lot of work for DK, who is the prior owner of blank. P told me he has been a friend of the family for many years and has done handyman jobs in the past for D. P told me in 2020 he drove D, his daughter, L, and G up to blank to a place the family goes to have a vacation almost every year. P told me after they got there, R, who is one of D's sisters, got into an altercation with a male who was camped near where they were. P told me it was a heated argument, but everyone eventually went back to their campsites. P told me later in the evening he noticed R and L were walking past the male's campsite. So he went up on the hill where he could observe and make sure nothing was going to happen. P told me he had been up on the hillside for several minutes in the dark when all of a sudden G just appeared out of nowhere. P told me it startled him for a minute because he never heard or saw where G came from. P told me G pulled out a knife to show him. P told me this was a hunting style knife. P told me he had spoken to G, who had showed a great interest in having a career in the military. I asked P if he could describe the knife to me. P told me it was a typical 7-inch blade hunting, skinning knife. P told me he had heard that G grades in school had dropped and that L had been extremely verbally abusive to him. I asked how L and G would travel to Moscow from Boise. P told me he believed they would ride the bus when they traveled. P told me when they stayed in Moscow at D's house, G and his sister would stay in the basement and L would sleep outside or in one of the two sheds in the backyard. P told me the significance of this was that G would keep his knives in the basement of D's house, in the wood pile that was outside, or in one of the two sheds in the backyard. P told me around the end of May or sometime into the middle of June, after COVID was letting up, he was at the Mad Greek having a late lunch or early dinner. P told me this was on a Saturday or a Sunday. P told me he had ordered a glass of wine, which he is sure that Ethan brought him. P told me he is not sure if Ethan worked at Mad Greek or was just helping out. P told me a bit later he noticed that G had come into the restaurant with possibly D, who is G's cousin. P told me Xana and Madison had gone over to G's table and Ethan later joined them. P told me it appeared to be a heated conversation, but he could not tell what it was about. P suspected it may have to do with the cancel culture and that G was stirring them up with conservative comments. P told me G left without eating anything. Later that night, around 9 to 10 p.m., P was at D's house in his backyard. P said that L was extremely drunk and she was yelling at G. P said she stated, "You're just a loser and you're going to spend your life in jail. You're ruining your life." P was not sure what L was referencing when she said this. P told me G left right after this altercation and he did not see him again. P told me G goes on long walks and does not return until the early morning hours. P told me he was over at D's the next morning picking up some tarps from a job he had been doing, and G showed up. P told me he asked G what he does after he leaves when his mom's yelling at him. G told him he goes over to the college. P told me G believes the college is to blame for how his mom is. P explains that L went to parties at the college and began drinking. P told me he does not know for sure, but believes that L may have been raped at one of the college parties. P told me he asked G about the conversation that took place at the Mad Greek restaurant. P said that G told him that he had followed the girls to the Mad Greek from the college. G told P that the two girls were lesbians. G told P he had went back to the girls' house, and when they came home, he was inside the house and made the statement, "They had no idea that I was there. I could have killed them all if I wanted to." P told me G then went back and got a larger knife from out of the back shed and showed him. P told me every time he was around G and G's mom would explode on him, he always stayed very calm and would not react to her. And this was reviewed by Captain Dollinger. This is Danny Vargas, number 78. On December 7th, 2022, I assisted with packing up and moving personal belongings from 1122 King Road to the MPD secured storage garage. KP, Captain Lanier, and I packed up the items in Bethany Funk's room and Dylan Mortenson's room. On December 8th, 2022, I spoke with RM, who is an attorney maybe for Mortenson. Mortenson initially wanted to retrieve some items. So I think the attorney's last name is M. M initially wanted to retrieve some items from Mortenson, but then stated Mortenson would come to retrieve all of her items sometime after the holidays. On December 15th, 2022, I spoke with TV, who is probably an attorney for Funk. V asked if we could send Funk her reading glasses, passport, and iPad to blank with the investigator who would be coming to interview her. Captain Lanier and I retrieved the reading glasses and passport from Funk's personal items at the MPD secured storage. I sent an email to V stating we would be sending the glasses and passport, but could not release the iPad yet as it was one of the items seized during the search warrant. V asked when Funk could get the rest of her personal belongings, and I told him she could contact me and we would make arrangements to return all of her items, which are in our secured storage. I gave Funk's glasses and passport to ISP Mike Mooney, who would be giving the items to the appropriate ISP investigator, who would be traveling to blank to speak with Funk. And this was reviewed by Dustin Blaker. This is report number 79, Lawrence Mowry. On December 1st, 2022, I requested an amended warrant for Meta, the parent company for Facebook and Instagram, for the accounts associated with the following identifiers, and that's all blacked out. On December 2nd, 2022, I received a signed warrant. On December 4th, 2022, at approximately 13:31 hours, I logged into the Meta Law Enforcement portal located at facebook.com records and served the warrant. During the service of the warrant, I found I was not able to add the phone number of blank as an identifier for JD account. That must be Jack Decor. This information was not entered into the portal. On December 8th, 2022, Meta sent an email stating the files were ready to download. I logged into the portal and downloaded the files provided pursuant to the warrant. These files were downloaded to a computer in the Secured Computer Forensic Lab at the Moscow Police Department. An examination of the data will be conducted at my earliest convenience. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy of the receipt to meta@facebook.com, as this was the originating email address associated with the documents. And this was reviewed by Dustin Blaker. Number 80, and I will stop after this one, Lawrence Mowry. It's a warrant service. On December 1st, 2022, I applied and was granted a warrant for all information in Reddit's possession consisting of information related to the crime of homicide on the Reddit account of Kaylee Gonsalves with any of the following identifiers: Kaylee Gonsalves, mobile phone number of blank, email addresses blank, or blank, so a Yahoo email and a Gmail Yahoo, between January 1st, 2021 to December 1st, 2022. On December 1st, 2022, at approximately 14:09 hours, the warrant was served via email to blank at Reddit. On December 19th, 2022, I received an email from Reddit containing the data requested pursuant to the warrant. The files were downloaded to the forensic computers located in the Secure Forensic Computer Lab at the Moscow Police Department. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were also sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy of the receipt to Reddit, blank at reddit.com, as this was the originating email address associated with the documents, and that's reviewed by Dustin Blaker.